Welcome, everybody. It's your boy here, the Versace Stoner. Welcome to another Horror Nights. It's Thursday night. We come on here, we talk about horror. Normally, I have my sidekick, Victorson. He had to go take care of some business, and sometimes that happens. That's the beauty of having a co host or having somebody else on a show, that if somebody's busy, well, hey, we have other people that can take over. Now, I was going to do an original episode I was thinking about, but that's going to actually be next week. And next week, we're going to be talking about, might I add you, next Thursday is Thanksgiving. So I do want you to come on at 8 o'clock and join us and bring, your turkey sandwich and your leftovers and your pie and whatever else you've had from Thanksgiving dinner. Gather around. And we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about holiday horror and what kicks it off. I do urge you, starting with that Thursday, to be watching Thanksgiving, with the John Carver movie. But we're going to also be talking, like I said, there's 25 days for December, 25 days till Christmas. Each day, we're going to be giving out a horror movie to watch. Because, well, let's face it, Christmas is the second scariest horror holiday. It has almost its own genre now, between movies like Krampus and such, that it's almost gained, a following for that secondary. So there's more than actually 25. I have to go through them and edit the list a little bit, get rid of some of the lesser ones, maybe add in some other ones, throw in a few of the ones that I find that are personally good. But that will be next week. That will be that holiday episode. But we did get some new hauls. I'm going to grab some things really quickly. And I'm going to show you off a little bit of what we were able to grab that finally got released. And talk a little bit about some things that we picked up along the way. And some of it was a really good price, actually, I'll be honest with you. But let's get into it. Yeah. You know that I am a big personal favorite of physical media. So the first thing I did pick up was the Creep Show television series. I'm a big fan of Creep Show in general, but the television series, if you watched it on Shudder, was, in my opinion, pretty good. Comes with 4 discs, 4 things like this, actually. A lot more than 4 discs. But and it comes with also a little book with comic art. And it honestly, it has been fun going through them. Now, I've seen them all when they were released and and all of that, but getting to rewatch them, watching them, via the TV, physical media style, I don't know. I just enjoyed. I've been enjoying watching the featurettes too. That they have all the little stories and from the actor's point of view and about the stories and getting into it all and looking at all the nods, all the horror nods that are involved with it. Shudder does do a great job with its horror. I believe their originals are pretty good. And in that, I was happy to get this box set. It was released on Amazon. I know it came out elsewhere, but I actually pre-ordered both of that and Shudder's 10-year anniversary set, both the same time. This one ended up coming out first, and this one got delayed on the Creep Show, but it did come. And this is a really cool set too. It comes with 10 years of Shudder. It comes with the movie Terrified, which I have not watched all of that yet. The Mortuary Collection, but it's a nice little, anthology horror with blends comedy and horror, I think, pretty well. It's a fun one. The Dark and the Wicked, which I haven't seen yet. I'm actually going to probably try to watch that tonight, potentially. Host, I thought, was really nicely done. It all takes place via Zoom. It gave a creepy vibe. It took place during the pandemic. Mad God, I've seen bits and pieces of that. It is an animation, cartoon, animated film. I am a fan of animation, but it's not my favorite genre of horror, so I don't always jump on it. VH94. That is a great film. People love VHS series, but even the newest one, Halloween, came out. I thought it was pretty good. Um, 94 is a great one. They're fun anthology horror. Kavit was weird. I watched it. I thought it was creepy. Definitely creepy. It was spooky. Skinamarink, I've watched bits and pieces of it. I don't know about it. I would like people to tune in if you've seen Skinamarink. Let me know what you think about it, because I've heard mixed reviews. People have hated it, people have loved it. I don't know what to think of it. I gotta watch it like one more time, I think. One of my personal favorites, Late Night with the Devil. Great little exorcism story. Great actors. And funny, they actually, if you've watched another show, and we're going to talk about that after this, it's also a Shutter special. You know, we'll talk about this after, but great movie. And then In a Violent Nature, a nice little slasher with a point of view from the killer. It has good potential for the storyline was okay in my opinion, the plot, but the kills were good. Some of the kills were really good. Sorry, I was looking at something there. But yeah, those two, been watching those, and then I also picked up from Shutter as well the Creep tapes, and I was bringing that. If you've seen the new season, no spoiler alert. What is his name that plays in Late Night with the Devil is in that, and it's really cool, kind of throwback episode, that first one. But I thought it was brilliantly done. If you check it out, it's on Shutter now. But the Creep tapes is from Creep 1 and Creep 2. It's basically, tapes of this serial killer. He plays like all these different crazy roles and does all this crazy stuff. Mark Duplass here. He's a genius in some levels on this stuff. But so I wanted to get the tapes in physical format. It's nothing special, just a regular disc, but very cool. You know. Then I reached out, and because I saw it, I wanted to get the collector's edition tin of the Mean One. It is that season. We will be checking. This will be one of the films on the list. And then I went over to Vinegar Syndrome, and they have a lot of great films by Satin, Core, and others. And I picked up some flicks. One being Ice Cream Man. I was not able to get the one with the slipcover. They were out of stock, but I was able to get the regular. It comes with a Blu-ray and DVD. Tons of features. 2K. It is cool. And I just met, Clint Howard not too long ago in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Great guy. Really cool. Glad that they, have put this out. And then I picked this up, Backwood Macy. Crazy little flick. She's homeless and hungry for sex, blood, and revenge. Crazy little flick, old film. That's the beauty thing about Satin Core. They put out all these older films. And this even comes with a bonus, an ex Hooker's Christmas Carol, made in '95. It's bound to be great. I haven't watched it yet, but I mean, as you can see, it's bound to be something special. And then from my friends at Walmart, I saw this on sale and I decided to bite. I am a fan of American Horror Story. So I grabbed the season box set. They have all the seasons. I only have seasons 5 through 8 with me right now, but they do have all. It came with all three, and it's DVD, not Blu-ray, but it has all the seasons of American Horror Story, and I am a fan of that. So I do like to watch some of their seasons and check them out and such. And it's nice to have them on physical media. The only thing is, it is DVD. I feel like the quality, compared to all the 4K I've been watching and everything, it's almost like old TV quality in a little bit of ways. It's a little bit blurry. I think it's 1080. I'm not even sure though. Doesn't say. So spoiled now with the 4K and the everything. But it was a very good price and it was on sale. And I do, like I said, enjoy it. I'm a physical media collector when it comes to these things. So, eventually the streaming services, you can't find them, you can't get them, whatever it is. Well, you have them. You have them on DVD, you have them on Blu-ray. I try to buy more Blu-ray than DVD, obviously. Um, and granted, I started this horror collection not too long ago, and physical media because I mean I originally I had a horror collection. I grew up with VHSs and stuff, but we had a house fire, lost almost everything, and so I had to rebuild. And I didn't rebuild everything right away. It took years. I wasn't even sure if I was going to invest in and start rebuilding collecting again, but I did. And I started with some more physical media, probably because it's hard to find everything you want to watch on all these streaming channels, and sometimes it costs too much. You gotta subscribe to this, do that, go there, go here. It's too much and unnecessarily, honestly. Sometimes when you can just throw it in. Plus, if the internet's not working or anything else, I also got a Blu-ray player for my laptop here, there. I can watch things on the go. I don't need a TV. It brings it back to a little bit of a throwback time. Um, I'm still a person that likes CDs. I love the movies, that come with the soundtracks and the scores. Sometimes I go to Newberry Comics and buy horror score soundtracks and such because I listen to them. I do. My car has a CD player, so I will jam out to CDs in the car. I'm way like that. I also like the records though. Records have made a comeback. And I got a little record player, and a couple of those I've gotten, some pretty cool stuff. Return of the Living Dead. Um, what I got, Midsummer. That was beautiful. That came with the record, and it came with a cassette tape. I don't have a cassette player. That's the funny part. No cassette player and no VHS player. Just the Blu-ray, the CD player in the car, and then the record player. But I might be looking at a VHS soon, just because I go to these conventions all the time and I see these VHSs and some of them aren't expensive. I just want to, well, maybe I want to buy it. Maybe downgrading the quality is better in some ways. In some ways, it gave it a more scary effect. You watch these old horror movies where things weren't crystal clear. You couldn't make out everybody exactly to a T. Um, everything was a little bit different, and it made it, I think, a little bit scarier having that grain and grit. People go back now to try to recreate that, or downgrade the video to an older style. Um, Not that there's nothing wrong with crystal clear and crisp 4K. I do like that as well. Sometimes it just looks hyper, too hyper, too realistic. Doesn't look real at all because of it's that crystal clear, especially when they do the older films and you remember them a certain way. But like I said, there's so many versions. I bought it and it's coming in December, but Texas Chainsaw just did a documentary, and it comes with like 8 different versions of Texas Chainsaw, color graded different ways. VHS versions, foreign versions, all have different times. Some of them different languages, different color grades, and the color grades will make things look different. And every time these people change or upscale or remaster something, the grading sometimes changes. And older films look a certain way, and the newer films look a totally different way. And sometimes it changes the whole vibe of the film. Doesn't look right. And you can even think of it, it's like, what's missing here? What's wrong? It's like that red is not the right shade. Or that blue is not the right shade sky. Why does that dress look that way? I don't remember that. Um, things that were black now look purple or blue. Things that were blue look black. It changes just by the color grade, by the LUTs, by everything. Making short films and doing stuff myself, you can play around with color grading a lot. Using like Da Vinci Code and stuff. You can, you know, do anything you can imagine. It just takes time. But it's cool to kind of see the different versions of films. I also like work films where everything isn't kind of perfect and it's just kind of a working version. It's not finalized. Return of the Living Dead, if you've gotten the Steelbook or any of the 4K versions that comes with those, really, really cool to watch. One of my favorites, actually. I enjoy it. Like I said, I enjoy a lot of this kind of behind the scenes stuff now, just because it gives a different perspective. Horror itself, I always viewed it one way until I started going to conventions, and I started to learn and see different things about what horror is, what these movies entail, what these people do for the movies, what they're in it How long are they in it? Do they even know what they're doing when they're doing it? I was really surprised to see that some people don't even know the final vision or the version of the movie until it's like out or in theaters. They just know their part and then it gets put in somewhere. There's all sorts of different things like that. And you hear it over and over again, especially at the cons when you go and do the panels that you find out a lot of fun stories about people filming on set and scenes. Like I remember Tom Atkins from Halloween 3 and Night of the Creeps and such. He was talking about one of the scenes in Halloween 3 and he had to run. And he said he was running for like miles. He had pneumonia. He was sick. They had him running all over town. They only used like 3 seconds of the footage in the final product, but he ran for like half a day. He said it was funny. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to con season. I know right now it's kind of slow. There is Monster Mania coming up this weekend. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news for myself, but I'm just like, realistically, I don't know if I can get out there. It was hard getting to Scranton this year because issues with the car. Luckily, I had a friend drive, but it was a long ride. It was 5.5, 6 hour drive almost. With all the no, it was like 4.5, 5 hour drive. But with traffic and stops, it turns into something. And it was just long. We didn't stay the day. This one's even further. It's in Philly. There's some really good horror in there, but it's also a lot of sci-fi, a lot of X Files. I like X Files. Don't get me wrong, but only Scully's gonna be there. Okay, there's gonna be no Mulder there, so it's like, they're doing this huge reunion. All these people, Skinner, everybody, Smoking Man, but they're not bringing in. Or they couldn't get David Duchovny, so I'm just like, eh. And there's a few other cameos by people coming in from what is it Friday the 13th too, and a few other photo ops and cool stuff like that. It's not really pulling. I went to Scranton though because, like I said, a lot of it was the photo ops. A lot of people in character meeting, Bill Moseley and you know the hitchhiker from the first Texas Chainsaw. They were in character, getting their photos. Clint Howard and his ice cream man photo, which they brought in a real ice cream truck. It was great. Lee Waddle coming in as Ghostface. That was a great photo op. You know, I had a lot of fun with that. The Miner from My Bloody Valentine. That was a great photo op as well. And they were all there. Also to sign autographs and such, and meet people. It was a really good event in Scranton. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was worth it. But I just don't know if I would go to this next one. Now I do have tickets to it, but moving forward, if I don't go to this, the cons are starting already. That creature feature in Scranton will be coming back to Gettysburg in March. April comes Monster Mania. May we're going to Texas Frightmare Weekend. I mean, and then I think what is it like May, June, or July? You got Nashua for Monster, and then back in September for everything else again. It's going to be con season all over again. There's going to be new movies next year. You're going to have a new Scream, probably a new Terrify. You're going to have a new Stream, even. You're going to have all sorts of new stuff out next year, and I think it's going to boost the horror world a lot. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff happening. I was even amazed this year of what I got to see and the people I was able to meet, and like going to Silver Scream Con, and I wasn't marking out or anything, but I walked by and who did I see in the far corner of my eyes? A Ray Ripley, WWE superstar, and she was just cool and being a person there enjoying horror. And she, obviously was there to meet the Terrifier cast and crew, and then next day she'd be on stage. But it's cool to see just even celebrities coming out to see other celebrities and meet other celebrities. It's the world of horror though, and nobody was even hounding or harassing her. Everybody was just cool with it because she was there not for that. She was there to enjoy horror, and that's what a lot of us horror people do. We go there to enjoy horror, meet other people, meet fans, meet other friends. And then meet the guests, meet the stars, see vendors, buy cool stuff, posters, limited edition posters, first edition posters, big posters, all sorts of stuff. The vendors in Scranton were amazing. They had amazing figures, amazing everything. I just didn't bring a lot of extra cash. But I can't wait. I love the horror cons. I think they're some of the most funnest things to go to in the world. Someone says you want to go to a con, I'm down. And I'm seeing more in Chicago, California, big names, huge names. Robert England, big name. I already has an 8-hour line. Big line. Big line for a big name. But, I am excited to see who they're going to bring in for Texas Frightman. I have that, VIP pass for that. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see who we're going to get for guests. I'm excited who we're going to get for guests for, they're starting to announce some of the stuff for Creature Feature out in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. There we have what's his name there, Barry there, the guy from the original Hills Have Eyes. He's been announced, and then there's two guys from Big Trouble in Little China been announced. Not the greatest so far, I'll be honest off the bat. I'm a horror fan, and I like some of these sci-fi classic movies, right? But if I'm going to a horror con, I want to kind of see just straight horror. I'm not really into the sci-fi horror unless I'm specifically going for that. I don't know. I'm weird like that. Like I know, like Monster, they had this whole thing going and it got canceled, but they had a lot of like alien stuff, and then they had the Goosebumps series and all this stuff, and the whole thing got canceled. I think it was because it was too sci-fi and not enough horror. Now, like I said, I like the horror scene a lot. I really, really do, and not just the film scene. There's the independent film scene. You meet a lot of independent people when you go to these events, whether they be authors and writers, some of them be directors, filmmakers, producers, and some. I've met a really, really nice. I've been, had some of the authors on my show. We've, done interviews and they've talked about their books and writing processes and stuff. And I've tried to reach out to more. I've got lists of authors. I will get more horror authors on. It's just a matter of getting to them and getting them on. Some of them have hit viral. One of them beat out Stephen King, for 1 week. But he still did it. He still beat him out. And I think that was, meeting these people that are on that indie level, it brings that same vibe that I had for the independent wrestling scene. The little people doing something big. Now, granted, Hollywood horror is great too, but there is something about an independent horror filmmaker out there grinding, making smaller or littler films. And you got to remember, independent films. Halloween 1 was an independent film. It wasn't considered a blockbuster film. It wasn't considered a Hollywood film. Terrifier was an independent film. These are things that, some of the greatest movies that are out there were independent films. And sometimes it's for budget, lack of budget, lack of people that want to get involved. You're taking a risk, you're doing something new, you're doing something that might fail. Maybe people aren't feeling risky. Many reasons why you go independent. Or you're just starting out, or you're just playing around, or you're making short films, you're just having fun. And there's nowhere out there that says you just can't have fun. I think unlike the the independent wrestling world, you can. It's more attainable for you to say, hey, you know what? I want to make a short horror film. And you can, we talked to somebody the other day and they were just basically, they made the movie Redhead, which is on Tubi. And they were like, Tom Savini told them, just get whatever and shoot it, in front of it. Doesn't matter what's behind the camera, what's in front of the camera. And if you really wanted to put something out right now, you could write yourself a short script that would just involve yourself. Use things that are at your advantage. Use your cell phone. Get a tripod. Set up the shots. And, you could throw it in cinematic mode. You could edit it. You could do whatever you want with it. Make a short film. And there's no one to say that you can't do this or not do it. There's no laws against it. There's nothing wrong with it. Where the indie world, if you were to say, "Hey, I'm going to start, a promotion tonight, or I'm going to start pro wrestling tonight," it's like, well, no, you're not a pro wrestler. You're not in anything, unless you go to school and learn proper. Otherwise, you become just a hazard. You hurt somebody. Somebody gets hurt. You run an indie shindy show. You end up. Most people don't get paid. I've seen it. Seen it firsthand. But you can become an indie filmmaker with just trying and applying yourself, putting your idea on film. It doesn't have to be a good film. You might not be the good filmmaker, but you will be a filmmaker. And there's people along the way that you can find to kind of help with that. You film it, you could find an editor for short value. You could find someone to give you the audio or audio it. Find someone to do this and that, and make it a production. And you can have some fun doing it. It can be a pet project. It doesn't have to be this time restricted thing where that's the thing about wrestling. Unless you're doing it for show and to film. And when I mean to film, like you're doing it on you know um like a televised show or taping or something. Other than that, you're doing it for live fans. And for live fans, that's a whole nother issue, because you have a whole lot of stress going on. The stress of, will it be good? Will it not be good? How will I get the fans in there? Will the fans adapt to this? Will the fans even enjoy this? Da 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 da. On and on and on it goes. But again, you don't have to worry about that with horror. And that's why I think I also like horror, just because you can take some chances, take some risks. It's the same thing with being an independent author. Just take the risk, write the book. Same thing with being a podcast. Just take the risk, make the podcast, make the show, put your content out there. Do what you can do. If it sucks, it sucks, but at least you put it out there. You made it happen. You know. And I think, that's the other thing that you know, it just I said, some people just don't apply it. They don't put themselves to it. Or they get in their head over it. And then that's not a good place to be either. You don't want to be in your head. You don't want to be in your head of, why should I put this out, or why should I not put that out, or could I, or would I, should I? And then you're playing the shoulda, woulda, coulda game the rest of your days. Just get it out there. Get your product out. That's what I tell people all the time. Just get it out there. But that's only, like I said, part of what I do in the horror world. I love horror. I love collecting horror. Physical media, figures, NECAs. They're great. Got a bunch of whole new. I seen pre-orders for Texas Chainsaw cloth figures coming out next year. That's exciting. I just got a couple of the old original ones signed at the last con. Whole bunch of stuff. The Art the Clown figures, they were hard to get. Mostly because they were Walmart, and Walmart is very hard to deal with, because people in Walmart don't care about getting the stuff out. They were only getting limited quantities. Scalpers are on top of it, and everything else, and it just becomes, a rush. Can you find it? Can you beat the scalper? Can you get it for under $100? Because once these things go into the eBay, they're $80 a pop plus shipping. Some of them, a $35 figure turns to 80. Really. And so, you know, yeah, Walmart does suck, VTV, it does, but they're getting these exclusive figures. They're getting, and it wasn't just even for like horror stuff. It's for, like, originally they were getting a lot of exclusive wrestling figures too, which was driving the wrestling world the same craziness, because these figures, like the line for oh, what were they? Masters of the Universe came out with a line of figures that did hybrid with wrestling. Masters of the Universe. How much have you sold a figure for that had the highest turnaround? I haven't sold any figures because I really don't sell them. I collect them because I enjoy them. Um, I've let some of the wrestling figures go just because I've had duplicates or they're no longer meaningful. I'd go out and buy complete sets or series of figures and then, eh, they're not really what I wanted. The only thing I've really kind of kept really minty and well, I mean, I've kept all my figures minty because I have a whole bunch. Like outside of the horror, I have all these wrestling figures. That mounted in about 2020. Some of them I went are older. I went back and got some of the classics that I wanted. There was a King Kong Bundy that I really really wanted that I won in an auction. Natty Classic. It's worth like 350 or something like that. Um, and then I have a bunch of loose figures that I bought and just for unopening and unboxing videos, which is always a fun thing to do. And then I was displaying those for a while, but then I swapped them out with the horror. And I sold some of them loosely at, different shows that I've had vending tables at. But right now, I really haven't tried to sell any of my wrestling figures. I've sold autographs. I've sold a few of my WWE autographs that I no longer cared for or wanted. I've sold, what else did I sell? Few things, nothing major though. Like I said, I'm not trying to make that profit. I'm not trying to flip. But like in 2020, I made really good, money. I was playing that Walmart game. I was, taught by a friend he sold me the set. The first time he scalped the shit out of me, and he sold me a set of because I was really into those Masters of the Universe. I was hooked on them, so I wanted all four. There's only four coming out of Wave, and the first one, I'll be honest with you, these things were like $20, not even a piece, not even. They were like 15 a piece, and they were going for $80 to $100 a set, pre-ordered. And I bought the first set from this guy, and then we became kind of friends. And he told me about kind of the game, and he let me know when to pre-order from Walmart myself, so I wouldn't have to go through him and be scalped. I became friends. He was a family guy, and he showed me how to do the pregame. So there was these pre-sales on Undertaker figures, Legends, Classic. I don't know something with he had a black leather hat, black suit, tie, whole 9 yards. Beautiful figure, and the eBay price was $100 pre-sale, and the retail price 19.99. I bought 8 of them, and I sold 8 pre-sales. I made about $800 in the pandemic on Undertaker figures. Unfortunately, I had to wait and the delay and everything with the Walmart. It took some time, and I had to give 2 refunds back. But then eBay gave me my money back because it wasn't my fault, and I don't know. It became a whole thing. But yeah, that would be that question there. World of Sin. You know, that would be it. But that's the whole thing. I haven't really got into the selling game because I'm in it for the collection or and I'm going after stuff that means something to me. I don't go after stuff because it's worth money. I go after it because it's something that is a value of me or a movie that I grew up with or a movie I enjoy. Like the Return of the Living Dead. I got that whole poster signed by all 7 people, and I love that. I would never sell it 'cause I love that movie. It's one of my, if not my favorite zombie movie out there. Um, Same thing with the movie Stream. I have a Stream post. I had gone it last whenever July, and when I went to Nashua by Michelle Santiago signed it, and I just kept going with it and got everybody else to sign it that I could find that was in that movie, and it's become a monster. Everybody from David Howard Thornton to Damon Leone, oh, Mark Holton, Um, also, it's even Dee Wallace. I even got her to sign it at a convention. Mm, I should do a show and tell. I'll have to go into the basement. Everything is stored down there. I try not to keep anything in the room just because it gets cluttered really fast. I used to have it all in here, and this room became very small very fast. So I moved to the basement. Everything is set up kind of nicely. Loose figures. Most of it's the horror stuff. But then I have another case full of just different wrestling stuff, random wrestling stuff too. I have loose figures, like I said. I also have some loose Hasbro's, LGNs, bunch of LGNs, whole bunch of LGNs. I like the LGNs. They bring that nostalgia of the '80s back to me when I actually liked wrestling for what it was, the bigger, larger than life, colorful characters. Um, but yeah, the collecting game, it's part of it. It's part of the kind of it goes with everything, and these cons are the perfect kind of circle because you get to a con, there's a whole bunch of shit to do there. The first thing is, you got a bunch of people to meet, right? If you want to meet guests, you can do that multiple ways. You can get a pro photo op, which is more expensive. They're in the 100 range, but sometimes they're in dressed in character. They'll have a professional set sometimes, or props, or backdrop, or something, and it's a professional photo. You get a print, 8x10. You can order extra prints. You can order an online photo, whatever. It's worth it, in my opinion, if they're in character. If they're not in character, just get the table shot, unless it's not allowed or not available. Like I know, Gillian Anderson is not doing any at her table for Monster Expos. If you want a photo with it, you have to do the pro photo op. This will make the line move faster, granted, but it brings up the price. Um, But there's also other stuff to do there, because in between all of that, each of these people that are guests there, they've been in movies and such, so they'll do panels and they'll talk about these movies and get a Q&A going. Or you'll have effects artists talking about effects. I've had also, a guy talking about what does it take to make an independent film, and you had some people in there, and Brett Wagner was in there who played, one of the Leatherfaces in 2003, and they were talking. I watched a screening of Trick or Treat, the movie, and then they had, Mark there come in and talk about his role and how it was, and he answered questions and stuff about the film. So I mean, there's movies playing at almost all the time that they have them going all day. I know a Creature Feature they were other places I've seen different rooms. Then they were also doing at night. They were doing live commentary. Movies, two movies. They were doing My Bloody Valentine, and then they were doing Texas Chainsaw. And you would have the live commentary, people talking like John Duggan and Neil talking, and they had also a cinematographer there. And then plus you had, the killer and the producer of My Bloody Valentine. They would be talking throughout the whole film, and this is what this, and you learn all about this stuff. You got all that going on. You got the panels going on. You got movies going on. You got the meeting of the people in between, the pro photo ops, and then you get all the collection, the art. Like I said, you got the posters, the figure collectors, the VHSs, the book collectors. I've got first edition Halloween books and rare stuff, the novelization, everything. Why do I think WWE women wrestlers get sexualized by some horror actors who show their breasts don't as much? Because, first of all, if you're an actress and you were an actress in the 80s or 90s and you're in a horror film and you're doing a naked scene, first of all, a few things happen. Either it might not be you, it could be a body double. There's people, and actresses that will decline to be on, they'll decline to do the nude scenes or do the sex scenes. But the other thing is if they're not and they are legitimately naked and doing them, they know that they are going to hit that adolescent audience, especially the old slasher films. I mean, they knew that the tits were going to hit the old, the audiences, and they were going to be aroused. And people like Linnea Quigley was known for getting naked. She was on Return of the Living Dead. She was butt naked, fully naked. clean shaven too at that. And she's always showing her tits in a bunch of different flicks. So people are gonna sexualize this and sensualize it and think about it, and she's gonna become an object of it. And that's the same with a lot of actresses that do roles that become, teenage crushes or people's crushes, first movie crushes. They do these roles on purpose in a way. Wrestling, it's not supposed to be that way. They're going out there to wrestle and to show that, hey, I'm just as strong as this one, or we're fighting. It's not really supposed to be sexualized. At least not now. Now, late 90s, yes, the role of the women's division was to sexualize it. We were seeing puppies, we were having panties matches, we were supposed to be aroused by this. This was supposed to get us to want and thirst these women. They would have risky pictures in magazines, and the WWE magazines at that. They made a separate edition called Raw, which would even be more sexualized and more, pinups and risky photos. I remember watching and being a young teen, watching and looking at photos of people like Melina and stuff with gold dust and be all, she'd have the cigar in her mouth and it'd be total, softcore porn that they were throwing at us if you look back at it now. I remember going to the WWE shows in Raw in the 90s, late 90s, and women behind me just showing me their tits, showing me their breasts. They didn't care. They didn't care I was with my parents. They didn't care I was with my friends. They didn't care how old I was. People were just showing tits. Nobody was afraid. Um, Different times. But unfortunately, now we don't live like that. Wrestling isn't that way. It's not supposed to be that way. These women are now professional athletes. They're not divas. They're not eye candy. They're wrestlers. And as much as you want, to, say they're good looking and this and that, they're coming out there to do one thing, and that's to kick someone's ass. They're not coming out there to turn you on. Movies are a little bit different. There is the scenes of intimacy thrown in there. There's scenes that are alluring, or you're seeing little snippets of their life that you're like, ooh, it's different than wrestling. Really is. I mean, but it's sad to see because I don't think that it's fair to the wrestlers in a lot of ways because I don't think that this generation of wrestlers asked for it. It's being carried over and passed on from generations of older women wrestling and older fan bases. 'Cause if you look at it, it's not really the younger people that do this. It's like the 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds and shit. People that were in the Attitude Era. It's weird. But I mean, you just seen AJ Lee go off today. I saw it. Fans are making AI imagery and making them move and make pictures, and they're kissing each other and making females kiss them and stuff. And it's weird. It's weird to see a video of up. I mean, I guess in that sense, for me, I don't care. Like if you made, well, I do and I don't. If you made a few AI, videos. I know Victor has any which way of me has made a few. He made me stoned on shrooms one time. He's done a few things in Sora, and that stuff don't bother me. Now, if he made me like humping a dead goat or something, I'd be probably a little disturbed and be like, "What the fuck?" But but it's different. As a female, I'd be weirded out if some fan that I met is using my photo to make us making out. I don't know. It's a whole weird, touchy subject. But there's always going to be pros where there's technology, and they'll be fucking probably there to ruin it pretty soon. That's why you don't have AI. AI doesn't allow the upload of a lot of faces or people's images unless they are your own. Sora allows you to add yourself, but you can't add a picture of somebody else. It will say they don't they won't allow it because of this. They don't want this to happen. They don't want these videos to go out there where people are doing this kind of unnatural shit because it raises moral questions. Now, me personally, I like AI for what it is. I think that it can be a useful, fun tool. I think you can do a lot of mock ups with it. I think you can do a lot of things to save some time, but it's not your product. It's not, you can't create a whole fucking thing with just AI. You want to make a song cool, but throw it in a fucking DAW, break it up into stems, add your own fucking beats to it too, add to it, make it better, remaster it, make it something better. You want to make AI videos, fine, but edit the shit. Don't just fucking leave the fucking slop in there, edit the slop out, make it look cohesive and cohesive, and work together. You want to do all these things. You want to write a story, cool. Let AI fucking write bare bones, or you write bare bones. Let AI fill in detail. Whatever you want to do, write with it, work with it. But at the end of the day, it can't be to replace the whole thing. It can't be you. It can't be your creative side. It can't take over. Not in these cases. I mean, it can. You can have it do a complete thing, but that's where you're going to get into the slop issue. That's where things don't look always right, because you need a little bit of human factor into these things. Yeah, again, though, touchy stuff, but you'll be interested to see what happens with the horror world and how they adjust to it. Will horror use it? Because, I mean, unlike other movies, horror, you almost, in some ways, can get these crazy things to be made that would take, a lot of effects. But then, there will always be practical effects that will overdo any kind of VFX. Because let's face it, everybody likes practical effects. They love it. I actually, it's funny because for a while, you know, I played around with VFX. And I had some fun. I made some cool explosions. I brought in some, Godzillas and some, different things and earthquakes, storms. Bought a couple of packages, and something happened with the hard drive, and the package company that I bought it from, the company actually screwed me. They wouldn't allow me any more downloads for whatever reason. I had 4 left, and they said no. I spent good money. And then I tried some other VFX of, different things. And like I said, they're okay. They're fun. There's the editing involved. You have to, play with the green screen, play with the colors, play with the dial, match the lighting, match this, match that, do a lot with it. But at the end of the day, it is fun. But, then over the Halloween time, I decided to get into some prop making. Nothing crazy. I just made a few, bones with flesh on them. I made a mask. I made some other things. And I was like, wow, this is a lot more fun. I think, I want to work and worry with, you know, more physical effects rather than virtual. Blood is blood, but I mean, what's gonna look better? Some fake blood splatter that's down and you can kind of tell it's fake, or you know, seeing someone get sliced open with a fake knife and using putty and shit for a wound and blood gushing and someone squirting and pumping in the blood. It's much more to it, and I think that would be the route I want to go with a lot of my films. A lot of my films I didn't do blood because I didn't want to do the VFX. I decided not to. I could have done the physical if I had more of a team. It was just a single person film and solo person doing everything. Fun project. It wasn't, somebody to camera, somebody to do this, somebody to do that. So I didn't want to, it would be hard to do all this stuff, bleed all over the place. Then I gotta go freaking come here, wash my hands, touch the camera, do this, go back, be bleeding. It's too kind of hard. So I got rid of the blood factor. Next films, I think I'm going to start to incorporate a little bit of work with it to try to figure out a way to work with it. We'll see. Um, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that kind of want to get done with the horror world. On that end of it, creating, making a film, making short films. I've done a few. I've done the shoes. Which I do. I like the shoes. I like that one probably the most. D for Devil was interesting, but I think it dragged. I don't think it wasn't snappy enough. The shoes was a little bit better, I thought. I thought it brought a little bit more to it. The others were okay too. Voices wasn't bad. And the one with the mailbox was interesting as well. I kind of spaz out. But, the one with the voices, and finding somebody in the house, and killing them and being brutal, and then it being the cleaning lady. That was pretty fun to make, and I did use some blood for that. Coming out, I had the bloody hands, but it wasn't like gory or gushing. I could have made. Well, I mean, I tried to do it quickly with that, with the ending of the shoes, with the gunshot. I just wanted to be boom, and then cut out and fade, and just have me laying. I was originally gonna have blood pool out, but then I was like, how am I gonna physically do that? Let it pool, and then me laying down. I need something to kind of pour and guide while the film is filming. It would have been too hard, so I didn't do it. I just let it go, and figured the movie cut off before the blood ran. But yeah, I will be looking more into these effects, and what it takes, and what I have to do, and how to get it to go, and make the movies more immersive, and more slasher horror, I guess I would say, or more horror with effect rather than just mental horror or thinking horror, which is great if you don't have the effects, but you still need something. You there needs to be an edge. But taking it all in, watching these cons, watching the people talk at these cons, listening to them, it's great. Working with other people, doing, collabs. It's been wonderful talking to directors. I love directors. I would love for directors to come on my show. I love to, what I really want to speak to is Michael Levy. He is like the leader of Fuzz on the Lens. They produced Terrifier 2 and 3, and he directed Stream, and he's done amazing things with that. Stream 2 is coming out. A great flick. If you haven't seen Stream, I do suggest you buy it. You can buy it online and watch it digitally, or you can buy a physical media version of it, which I suggest because it has like the bloopers, the outtakes, and all of that. With the amount of cast that movie has, of people, it's wild. And the coolest thing is, when I was at Scranton, there was a guy there, a game developer, and he was making games, and he makes board games, and he makes one. We made one for the Necromonicon, but now he also was making one for Stream, and it was great. They were demoing it. I'm hoping to hey he actually comes on my show. I invited him on as well to talk about his game, and they were showing how intricate it is, and it's really cool. It's just like the movie. You go room by room. The people that kill, people can bet on the killer, the winner. You get points for the kill. Very detailed, immersive game. It takes about 50 to an hour to play. Really cool though. And it's gonna come in like hotel boxing. It's gonna be really something special for both. I think he said, it's for gamers and collectors. And that's what people are. Gamers are collectors. We love collecting things. We like to buy the games that are special edition. Why? Because they come with extras. They come with bonuses. Why do I buy Blu-rays that are limited edition Blu-rays rather than the regular one? Because it comes with a little booklet. It comes with a slip cover. These are things that collectors go for. Same thing with the games. You get these games that come with these really cool pieces. It's really nice to see. But I was looking. I got to see all the kills and the killer cards and everything. It's really cool. I'm really looking forward to that. Hoping that it comes out soon. I think he said next, maybe first quarter next year. I'd love to buy it. Even get a couple of friends, play it live here on Horror Nights, and let people see what it's all about. There's gonna be, he said, a phone app that will go with it to make it, even more immersive. They're actually getting, some of the voicing from the real actors from the movie to be in the game. I mean, it's fully licensed as well. Really, really cool stuff. Really, really cool. And also, if you are a fan of that stuff, I mean, if you like the movie Stream, do check out Fuzz on the Lenses website. They have a really lot of cool stuff. So they have a lot of Stream posters. You can get them signed, or you can get them signed by Michael Levy and like the whole crew there. Not the actors, but you got Michael and his brother, who plays one of the killers, and then you got like one of the other people. And they'll sign any of the posters. They also have the Apple boxes and half Apple crates there that they've used for the films, and they have some other cool items. They have the key cards, which are really cool, and they'll even sign those for I think 75. And and then they have another website. Well, that website, and then you get shirts too. And then they have like a website that has merchandise. It's through another partner, but you can actually get the Stream Killer Mask too, which is really cool. They got a lot of cool stuff out there. Really is, and hearing that number 2 is coming out, I'm really excited for that. Because I said between that and what is it? Terrifier 4, which is supposed to be crazy. It's gonna be nuts. It's so dry in here. That is the one thing I hate about winter. It just gets dry. The heat gets dry. It's so weird though, because like in the summer I can't stand being warm. I need it to be cold. I keep the AC going. In the winter, on the opposite, I need it warm, but it dries the air. It makes it very dry. And of course, I never have water with me or anything like that. Why would I do that? Why would I make things easier? I just started bringing scissors with me for my boxing on openings. I used to rip them apart like a savage. We're getting better. We're learning. But yeah, next Thursday we will have a very special edition of Horror Nights where we will be talking about, holiday horror. Going through some of my personal favorites, whether it be through, movies, television. There's been some great tales from the crypt and other episodes that had Christmas themed horror into it. Movies like Krampus, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Black Christmas, even its remake. We're gonna talk about it all. So I'm really excited for that. Like I said, that's probably my second favorite genre of horror. Would be the Christmas horror. I love to watch it. I think it's fun. Especially when they take these characters and make them so dark. Because there is some darkness with Christmas. It's not always cheerful. But I think that will be it for tonight. Got some movies to watch. I don't know which one though. It's a toss-up. I am thinking I haven't seen all the Terrified, and I haven't seen The Dark and the Wicked. So maybe one of them. No, my luck, it won't be neither. I'll probably find something else totally different and end up watching that. But I do got plenty of stuff to watch. I said with these hauls, we got some physical media. Thank you everybody for joining me tonight. It has been a pleasure as always, and until next time, stay spooky, everyone. We're out!